Harley Davidson FXDR. I wanted to do this video for a while now, just the weather hasn't cooperated. Still not able to do it the way that I want to because none of my mounting brackets will fit this bike. So when that comes in, I'll hook up the GoPros and we'll go for a ride. But on that note, we're just going to go into some of the, I've had this bike for a month, so we'll go into owning it and riding it and living with it, and hopefully answer some of the questions that a lot of y'all have. So a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, I'm not really going to get into specs and things like that. There's 20 other videos out there in YouTube and Facebook land that will tell you all the specs of this bike. It's 114 cubic inches. It's about 1,868 cc's if you're metric. The bike weighs about 660 pounds wet. So with me on here, I'm at 225. Yeah, I'm kind of a fat guy, but it handles me just fine. So let's talk about the first thing everybody talks about, is the riding position on this bike. So it could be argued that these are forward controls. So I would say between forward and mid being about right here, and then forward being way out here for your highway pegs. For me, the way it sets, I'm bent comfortably at the knees, so it's not bad. It's the lower portion is not bad, and I'm 5'7", so my leg kind of goes over here on the with the airbox that I'll show in the pictures, but I don't have a problem. Taller riders will have a problem with this airbox on the other side, but the bars is what puts you in this like clam-like position. Now before, they were out here. Okay, so being out here is really forward, really leaning. These clip-ons are adjustable, bringing them back from here to here, and I illustrate this from here to here. Okay, this is actually this is manageable. It's a lot comfortable. You get a lot more control over the bike. The bike itself is pretty balanced. I mean, even though you got a lot of stuff on the right side here, it's pretty balanced and not as heavy as I was expecting. My friend has a Road Glide, and that thing's a beast. But this not so bad. Oh, another point of contention that people talk about, this kickstand. This kickstand is a pain, but I think it's just because it's new. You really have to kind of make sure that the bike is settled and force it over before I'll trust it. Okay, let's talk about the headlights really quick. These are the Harley Davidson LED Daymaker lamp system. LEDs all around the bike, forward and back. These are bright. Now, whether some people have said it's supposed to change the brightness as you lean. Took it out last night, really couldn't see the difference, but I will say this. Combination of the LEDs, turn signals, and the lamp, you can see where the light falls, and it is really, really bright. So you're not going to have any problems on these headlights here. It's bright. And I got a dead bug on here, so. Okay, on the right side of the bike, as I was talking earlier, I'm not a tall rider, so being 5'7", my leg falls right in here. Now, I think you got to be careful about right here in this area. Okay, a lot of heat comes out. So this bike, we went to the oceanfront, which is kind of cruising boulevard, 10-15 miles an hour. This bike don't like it. All right, it's getting really, really hot. So if you know, I'm curious how this would be at Daytona or Sturgis, but definitely do not wear shorts on this bike. This bike will burn you. Here's the rear of the bike. To note, again, these are not plastic, okay? They look plastic, they're not. These things are way more rigid than plastic. Dealer told me it's carbon fiber. A couple of websites say that. Whether that's the case, what it is, I can't definitively tell you it isn't, but I can tell you it is not plastic. It's something else. So now a lot of people are like, well, you know, I'm gonna take the back of that off, that looks stupid. It kind of serves a purpose, because see all this stuff in here, all right, that through that little hole gets flinged up here, and every time I get off this bike I see gravel and bits of sand and stuff like that. So with that being off, you'd probably get a lot more of it on your back. So, you know, again, up to taste, but I'm going to leave it on there. I'm actually a buddy of mine. I'm going to give him a shout out at Rooster Concepts. He does hydro dipping and laser engraving. So, you know, there's a couple things, but, you know, the Harley Davidson #1, which is always really cool, might find its way back here. So some of the controls, you'll see right here, you know, your standard on, off, hazard, start. This messed with me being a Kawasaki rider. I'm used to this being the start, the ignition button, and your controls over here. If you're new to Harley, that's a turn signal. So that's your right turn signal. Then you have your left one on the other side. The good thing about it is they are self-canceling. So that's pretty neat. I don't know what kind of trickery is involved there, but it's pretty neat. So your instrument cluster right here, LED. Now we got the sun out, kind of, but as you can see, even in the sun, you can kind of get a good idea of your of the instrumentation and the cluster on there. And then your left controls are just, you know, standard fare. This button right here, this toggles through your settings on your instrument cluster. All right, and then to start it, again, make sure you're down. I'm in neutral. I think I'm in neutral. I am not in neutral. So hold on. All right. There we go. Now I'm in neutral. Let's see. Got brake. And let's go ahead and fire this thing up. On the swing arm, it is belt driven, so you can see the belt there, and so this whole assembly, this comes off in 4 bolts. This can come off in 2. This can come off. So it's not too complicated to get off of there. Okay, so in the back of the seat, this little cover. This thing just comes right off, and you see there's a little bit of storage there. You can put a seat back here. Good luck. And then down here, right behind the cylinder, is the accessory panel, accessory cord. So it just sticks right down by there. So some other thoughts on the bike, just to this is my first Harley, so I don't have other Harleys to compare it to. My friends have Harleys, and I can compare it to theirs, but primarily a Kawasaki rider and a Honda rider, so that's what I have to go off of. I will say this: riding the bike is a blast. I mean, you look at any reviewer and they will tell you the torque on this thing is unbelievable. I mean, first gear is first gear, yeah, it just kind of gets you going. You don't notice anything until second. Once you get second, about 2,000 RPM, hold on, because it yanks hard. And as you go through the gears, it doesn't stop. So, still breaking it in. I got about 380 miles on it, so I'm not really going to rag it that hard. But I got on a couple times last night, and it's scary. It's going to take me a while to get used to this. Riding it, again, to echo kind of what everybody else says, this is not a tourer. So if you think, oh, I'm going to get this and ride for a long time, you're not. It's comparable to what you do on a sport bike, actually. I go for about an hour and 15, hour 20 before I need a break. And then, once you get a break, it's 20-minute break, you'll be fine. But it's just, a lot of things. I'm fat and I'm old, so I'm sure that has something to do with it as well. But as far as riding the bike, street light, you're gonna have fun. Now, I want to talk about the corners. Again, I'm coming from Kawasaki's and Hondas and sports bikes, where I'm used to leaning them over and all that, so I cannot compare to any other Harleys. Just can't. I will tell you this bike will take a corner. Again, not like a Ninja 750 or any of those, but you can get it over. There is a cloverleaf here in Virginia Beach. It goes from Independence to the 264. It's standard 25-mile-an-hour cloverleaf. It's straight and goes right onto the road. Okay, I took that thing at 50 miles an hour. Probably shouldn't admit that, but I took it at 50 miles an hour, and it was planted. The bike did not leave its line whatsoever. That 240 tire, it has to do with the ratio. Big tire, smaller front tire. So with that, it gives it a pretty good steering angle. After about a day of getting used to it, I do not worry about this bike in the turns. So one of the things about Harleys that attracted me to this bike is that, there will be parts for it. There's already parts for it. There's a plethora of parts out for it. It's Harley, okay? Accessories for days. So, when I had my Kawasaki Vulcan, or, some of the other off Kawasaki's I had, like the Z7S, it's hard to get accessories for those bikes. You get generics, but nothing really specific for the bike. Like I said, I've already gone on to the Screaming Eagle site, gone on to a couple of the other sites, hell, even Amazon, and there's already accessories for it. So you'll be able to customize this bike however you want to. If you go on Instagram, there's already a couple of guys that are doing that. But you can customize it however you want to. And there's a lot of people, well, when I say a lot of people, there's a few people out there, because not many have bought this bike. I only know of 2 other people that have one. So you can make it whatever you want. And that was another appeal for me to come here to the Harley, was just customization. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the what gets added onto it. Let's see here, what are some other thoughts on this bike? Let's see here, talk about that. Oh yeah, there's a back panel on there, and I'll go over here and I should talk about that. You can put a passenger seat on it, but you would have to put pegs on it. I have no idea where you'd put pegs on it. Just looking at it, I'm sure someone at Harley's already figured it out, but this bike ain't meant for passengers. With that being said, there is an accessory jack on there, so you can, if you want to, hook up some, a USB charger for your phone. Your phone fits back in that little compartment, or whatever other accessories that you want to get, you can add on to it pretty easily. So, final thoughts on the bike. I love it. It was exactly what I wanted. Some people argue it's a little bit more expensive than what it's worth. Maybe, but it's worth what it's worth, and whoever will buy it. So, and it was enough of a pull that I bought it. So, but anyway, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you see me out in town, if you're out around the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area, hey, give me a wave. I'll sit there and we'll talk. And but be safe out there, and rubber down.